Okay, students, assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to start with completing sentence. As we can remember that the first part of the completing sentence has been already discussed, and now we are going to discuss the second part. So let's move with some more rules. The first one is lest. Now here we can see work fast lest we should miss the train. The structure is subject plus should plus main verb. In this case, when we are using lest, this will be actually our structure. That is, after lest we will use a subject, then of course we will use should, and as we are using should, so we cannot use any past verb or past participle form, so we have to use the main verb. Miss the train. This is the object. So in case of lest, we will use should. That should be remembered. Again, another structure is so in spite of is a phrase after which we use main verb plus ing. Then we may use the adjective, in that case, in spite of being poor. Then we will use the principal clause, he is happy. In spite of or despite. These things actually represents the structure of contrasting elements in a simple sentence. Here we see this is a simple sentence, fine, and there are contrasting elements in it. That is, when we are saying in spite of, actually we are putting down two contrasting elements together. The next structure will be though or although. This is actually a kind of extension of this structure, or this is a kind of just transformation of this structure, that is this structure, in spite of or despite. One thing you should bear in mind, that is, if you use in spite of, okay, fine, but you cannot use this preposition of after despite. Often we make this mistake that we use the phrase despite of. Do not use despite of. There will be no of after despite. It will be after in spite. Then let's move. We are going to discuss another structure, that is though or although. So in case of though and although, there are two contrasting elements again, and here we see that in case of though or although, we find that the part which will be with though or although, this is actually the subordinate clause part, and the principal clause part will express the contrast with this subordinate clause. That is, in case of though or although, when we are using though or although, he is poor, he is happy. Being poor and being happy, these two things are contrasting elements. So we are putting down the contrasting elements in the principal clause. The structure is, after though or although, we will use a principal clause, and the part which will have this word though or although, it will be the subordinate clause. And of course we have to maintain the unity of the tense. Often in case of completing sentence, we do not maintain this unity of the tenses. In that case, what happens, that is, we make mistakes like though or although he was poor. Suppose here it is not is, it is was. He is happy. We are using past tense at the subordinate part. On the contrary, we are using present tense at the principal part. So we have to keep this in our mind. Now it is time, or it is high time. In case of this, what we are going to do is, it is time we started our journey, and it is high time to start our journey. The expression is actually, the expression and the structure is same for both. It is time and it is high time. So let's focus when we will use this simple past form and when we will use this infinitive. When we are saying that it is time we started our journey, in this case what we are doing is, that is, we can see after this it is time, we can see there is the subject we, then we may start with this past form of the main verb and then the extension part. So if there is a subject after this phrase it is time, then we will use the past form of the main verb. It is high time. After this it is high time, we will use this infinitive form, to plus main verb. It is high time to start our journey. In that case, what we will do is, as there is no subject after this phrase it is high time or it is time, so we will use infinitive, to plus main verb. Now here we have to remember that if there is no subject after this phrase it is high time, what we can do, we can use a subject we, then we can use the past form of the main verb to started our journey, fine. But we can take the opportunity to finish the sentence with infinitive, that is to plus main verb. Now there is a difference in the meaning. The first sentence, it is time we started our journey, it means the time has already been arrived and you have already missed a lot of time, so you have to start the task immediately and you don't have much time in your hand. But when we are using this infinitive, it means okay, fine, it is the proper time but it has not passed yet. So here we have to remember that there is a difference in meaning. Now since when it is referring the time, so in case of it is long since we met, here we see that this portion is simple present, this portion is simple past, while here this portion is simple past and this portion is past perfect. Now when we are saying that it is long since we met, we are actually using it as this portion preceding this since it is in simple present. So the portion which will be after this since, it will be in simple past. On the very contrary, the portion which is preceding this since, if it will be in simple past, then the portion which will follow this since, it will be in past perfect. So it is very simple formula. The first part it is simple present, the next part will be in simple past. The first part, if it is in simple past, the next part will be in past perfect. So dear students, let's proceed. In case of past perfect tense, what we will do? The thief had ran away before the police came. So here we see the use of this preposition before, and this part is in past perfect. The next part is in simple past. Now what will we do, or what do we see? We see that the part preceding this before, it is in past perfect, while the part following this before is in simple past. Another portion will be the another rules. The thief ran away after the police had come. So here we see that when we are using this simple past tense, the thief ran away, we see this is in simple past form, while the other part, the police had come, it is in past perfect form. So the part preceding this after, it will be in simple past, while the part following this word after is in past perfect. We can match these things here. That is, the part before, this will be in past perfect. The part after this before will be in simple past, while the part before this after will be in simple past, and the part after this after, it will be in past perfect. So this is actually the structure of past perfect and how we will complete anything which is in past perfect. Now let's see the structure of as soon as. In this, as soon as we see, as soon as the thief saw the police, he ran away. So here, in case of as soon as, just we have to remember that the unity of the tense will be maintained, and as soon as actually refers to, that is দেখতেই, করতেই, পুলিশ দেখা মাত্রই চোরটি পালিয়ে গেল. In this sense we will use this phrase as soon as. Here the unity of tense will be maintained in both part of this sentence, in both clauses. That is, this is the subordinate clause, this is in past tense. We cannot write it in present tense, we have to write it in past form. Now this is the structure of no sooner had than. No sooner had the thief seen the police than he ran away. So the part with no sooner, it will be in past perfect, and this one is in simple past. So the part preceding this then, with this phrase no sooner, this will be in past perfect tense, while the part after this then, this will be in simple past. This structure is same in case of scarcely had when, hardly had before. Like So, scarcely had the thief seen the police, then he ran away. In case of scarcely had, sorry, this will not be then, this will be when. So the part with scarcely had, it will be the structure like this, scarcely had plus the subject, then of course as there is had, so here we will use seen, the past participle form, while after this when we will use simple past form, he ran away. In the same way, hardly had the thief seen the police, before he ran away. So the structure of no sooner had than, scarcely had when, hardly had before, these three things will be the same. The difference is in using of the phrases, not using of the structure. Okay, now let's see another one, that is by plus gerund plus by working hard you will be successful. So after by plus gerund there will be a principal clause, and if this is without plus gerund there will be a principal clause, but often in case of without we use negative sentence, like without working hard you will not be successful. So in case of by plus gerund we will use affirmative sentence, in case of without plus gerund we will use negative sentence, but in case of both of these we will use a principal clause, a simple sentence. Okay students, this is all for today. Allah Hafiz. In the next class we will finish completing sentence and we will touch another topic. Okay, goodbye.